Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong.
Where? When? Who?
Oh, that was... Oh, nice.
Oh my God!
It's actually
Wow.
just
Wow.
wow.
The son of a bitch did it. The sons of bitches did it.
Wow.
They did it.
Yeah.
You know what? I just got one thing to say to all those naysayers. Man, for the last couple of weeks, last few weeks that this show's been on, screw you. Screw you. If you know what? Because now they're all
Yeah.
like, well, they
definitely
redeemed
screw
it at
y'all,
the end.
man.
They redeemed it at the end. The first part was no. It took that whole freaking story. It took that whole thing to bring it home, and man, did they bring it home. Now, first of all, before we get started, I want to point out very, very clearly there will be spoilers.
So for those who can't read, like William, because he's too old,
Yes.
we're
Put
gonna
on your glasses, buddy, because there will be
You guys are
spoilers.
relentless.
Here, man, I'm gonna put it in bright red so you can see it there at the bottom of your screen. Spoiler alert: we
you can't
will
put the
be
font bigger
talking
for
spoilers.
elderly people.
Can't. This is your warning. I'm sorry if you can't. If it, you know, it is what it is. Holy crap. Yeah, but for all those naysayers who've been going on and off, no. If you think that this is bad, if you think that this has been bad writing, I'm sorry, Nightstar, dude. I'm not pulling any punches with this. You're wrong. You're just flat out wrong. You know, like I don't know, man. You could be right in your own mind. Look, I don't begrudge anybody. Like everybody's got their own opinion. Like it's art, so it's subjective. I get it. But I'm sorry, this was Star Wars. This was freaking amazing. The whole series was fantastic from start to finish. It did what it was supposed to do. I cannot wait to rewatch this thing from start to finish once again.
Absolutely.
And take it in, you know, like for all the things I didn't maybe see or missed, or to actually just watch it knowing where it's going now. Listen, story takes time, and I'm sorry, you may have things that you want to see, you may have things that you thought you were going to see, you may have you may not like some dialogue here or there, but the dialogue has always been clunky in Star Wars, and if you don't know that, then I'm sorry, you just don't know Star Wars, for God's sake. I mean, it's always been that way. Star Wars has never been perfect, neither shall it be, and neither should it be. And this right here, man, what a great way to do this, to bring everybody back to the callbacks in this episode, the fight in this episode. Oh my God. And Cylon, I was right, buddy. The return of Qui-Gon Jinn in Force Ghost. Dude, can I explain that? I don't know how much more you want me to explain it, man. It was great. It was great. It literally hit every target point that it needed to hit for Star Wars. This was classic Star Wars. It felt like Star Wars. It looked like Star Wars. It was Star Wars. It was a great ending to the prequel era timeline. I would love to see more. I don't, you know, I know Cylon talked about, you know, like if you read the book, Kenobi, like there's other places you could go with Kenobi, absolutely, but man, no, I'm sorry, I don't see any plot holes. I don't, as Kinky Sphincter, I gotta disagree with you as well. I don't know where you see any plot holes. Tell me where there's plot holes.
Not any massive ones. There's like tiny ones, but I wouldn't worry about it. It's not.
I don't know how you see plot holes. What plot holes? What plot holes?
Worrying about like dumb shit, like whether or not a Star Destroyer can keep up with a ship without a hyperdrive. Like the whole plan wasn't to overtake him. Vader was on a mission. He wanted
that wasn't. That's not a
it.
plot hole. That's not a plot hole. It's called what Vader wanted to do. Vader was concerned. That's actually even brought up with the Emperor, because the Emperor sees that Vader is consumed with Kenobi. Like he says, you know, I think that your emotions, you know, have the best of you, you know, with this, you know, and they did. Oh, come on. How did she get she can't get a ship?
Yeah, I don't like it.
She can't get a ship, and also you don't know what
Javium is a ship graveyard for one.
Come on, dude. Like seriously, how do you not get a ship when you're that? Like also how I don't know, you're worried about Riva surviving when Darth Maul freaking survived getting cut in half? Darth Maul got freaking cut in half, dude. Come on. Darth Maul got cut in half. Asajj Ventress was supposed to die. I mean, she got severely lightsaber injured. Look what freaking happened to Anakin, for God's sake. He lived. Anakin literally got burned alive, man. Got all of his limbs cut off, and he survived. Luke got his hand cut off. How many people have gotten hands cut off and different things have been stabbed with lightsabers? Doesn't mean that you die. It cauterizes the wound. If you don't hit the major organs or whatever, or major parts, you're going to be okay. You know, it just being stabbed with a lightsaber does not equal a
Darth Maul
death. I'm sorry. Darth Maul freaking got cut in half. That kills your argument right there.
He's like Darth Maul shouldn't have survived either.
Well, you know what? Too bad he did. Then don't like Star Wars. Then don't watch Star Wars,
when
bro.
you start writing for Star Wars, I'll listen to you.
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry. Like saying Darth Maul shouldn't have survived either, that doesn't matter, because he did. He did. And so it's done. It's done. So you might not like it, but then just don't like Star Wars. Like, seriously, like you can't just sit back and go, well, it's bad writing. I hate it, whatever. Then you just don't like Star Wars, because that's all freaking throughout Star Wars. I mean, this stuff is all throughout Star Wars. This is stuff that's literally been there since the beginning. You can't say that it's not. I mean, it just is. It just is. I'm sorry. No. There's no way. There's no way.
Are we trying to really make sense of a goddamn stupid ass series that involves space
wizards?
wizards?
The way I look at it, I've always looked at it like this: to try to think about what one director did in one movie and what one writer did in one movie, and then you add stuff to it. Shit's gonna get shaken up no matter what. They can't connect these pieces perfectly, and the people that bitch about it, to me, are just gatekeeping. Like they're trying. They just look for that shit because they're fucking miserable. They're joyless.
And actually, I could explain this to Nightstar. Why Qui-Gon?
That dude's here to argue. He don't want to listen. He wants to argue.
Listen, and look, I love Jerry. Look, I love Jerry. Jerry knows I love him. I've met Jerry. I've broken bread with Jerry. I mean, I've been to Jerry's house, right? Like, I mean, Jerry's a cool guy. He's absolutely a cool guy. I just absolutely disagree with you on this, Jerry. I mean, seriously, on every part of this. This is Star Wars. I mean, Riva, yeah, Zeno, you're right. Ziva was noticeably not okay while hunting for Luke. It's not like she was just like jumping around and
the fact that
this is not nostalgia. This is literally what Star Wars is. This is what Star Wars is. It's literally people who have magic powers who do things that don't make sense. Kylo Ren was shot with a freaking bowcaster and lived. I mean, Captain Phasma should have died, didn't. Han Solo got frozen in carbonite, probably should have died, didn't. Leia got shot, didn't die in Return of the Jedi.
Boba Fett was in a Sarlacc pit being digested.
Right. I mean, this is Star Wars. If you don't like this kind of stuff, then I just don't understand how it's not nostalgia. It's literally the core of the thing. This is what it is.
Fantasy. Yeah, I'm sorry, but what's wrong with nostalgia? I take offense to that.
Even if it is nostalgia, but I'm just saying.
What's wrong with that? I really want to know what's wrong with that. I think
no one dies, no stakes. Okay, I'm not going to go there anymore because you know what? I love this thing, and I'm not going to allow it.
I ain't going to listen to that either.
I'm not going to allow it. I'm not going to allow it to sway me because it's not. It's not going to sway me at all. I love this thing. It closed up the details. It showed the whys of Leia, and but dude, I just don't know how you're disappointed with something when this is literally Star Wars. This is literally the core of Star Wars. This is what happens in Star Wars.
It made me feel something.
Look what freaking happened to the Emperor, and the Emperor survived. The Emperor got literally electrocuted by his own stuff. I mean, he cloned himself, and he came back as a different person. You know what I mean? Like he cloned Snoke and used Snoke. I mean, this is the core of Star Wars. How do you not get that?
I don't know. Let's just move on. Anyway.
Yes. Anyways. So, the fight, the lightsaber fight, the duel, man. Holy crap. Dude, they're picking up boulders. They're using oh my god.
Obi-Wan shattered his breathing, his respirator.
Yes.
Obi-Wan shattered his respirator.
My only problem with that is like, well, why don't you kill him then? Why do you leave him again?
I was having that problem.
Because Obi-Wan couldn't bring himself to kill him once again. But he did say, he did say, then my friend is truly dead. Which is what he tells Luke later on. Because Vader says, I killed Anakin.
Yeah.
He said, it's not your fault, Obi-Wan. I killed Anakin. Like, I'm going to kill you. I mean, that brings a lot of those things that people were complaining about around full circle.
Dude.
Yeah, there's plenty of wiggle room in the script. And
for the record, I like to say that I did
enjoy it for the sake of enjoying it. My gosh.
I am the only one that marked out for hello there. I mean, no one
else.
Oh,
no. Dude, that was awesome.
I marked the hell out. I did. I snapped. That was epic. Hello there. I'm like, yes, he said it. He goddamn said it. You know why he said that. He knows why he said it. It's perfect. God, it felt so good. And by the way, I want that in every meme. I know Jenna bought the greatest Star Wars memer of all time. Please, buddy, if you ever are watching this, please do what you need to do. I want to see all the memes.
Yeah, dude, you're right, Jacob. That line right there, I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did.
I did.
I think it provided closure for him. He said, you're right. I'm not the one who did this. He did it to himself. And then the day that's what happened. And he doesn't have to take responsibility for that no more.
I mean, that's some great writing right there.
And did you notice Obi-Wan now has found peace somewhat? Yes. I mean, he's
and that's why he could see Qui-Gon.
Yeah. Oh, well, Qui-Gon did say that. Qui-Gon was like, I've been here the whole time. You just couldn't see me.
It's about time, man. You can see me now. Like, oh my gosh. How fantastic was that? Wow. Just so good, man.
And can we also like since I'm usually the guy that calls for the dark side here. Can we, simply talk about Palpatine showing up? Like, hello.
I wasn't even focused on that. Yeah, they did a good job with that. It was really fun.
This is a lie. You are an effing moron. I'm sorry. Who are you? This is your. You choose this. You choose this to be your first.
Who cares?
No. I'm just saying. You choose this to be your first comment here. No,
Get the sniper
most of those wounds happen in the original trilogy and the prequels. Like, so shut up. Shut up. Don't come in here. You're okay. I don't know you, Leopold. Listen, Nightstar is my friend, and I will listen to that stuff, but you want to come in here with some BS of an echo chamber? Yes, I want a freaking echo chamber, and you know what? You're blocked. Get out of here.
You're right though, but this isn't.
Oh, you mean I didn't even have to ask?
No. You come in being a moron. Look, you want to be insulting. Listen, Nightstar's not insulting. He just has a different opinion. I don't want him to go away. He's my friend. Jerry's my friend. You come in here accusing me of stuff and acting like a moron, you're gone. Shut up.
This is an echo chamber.
I'll echo this chamber. I'll echo this chamber upside your head. Like, listen, you know, like you're a moron if you think that that stuff just happened in the sequel trilogy or just Disney Star Wars. Listen, it's all freaking Star Wars. If you can't get that through your head, then you know what? You're not a Star Wars fan. You're a fan in your own head. You don't care about Star Wars. Whatever it is that you think you like doesn't exist. Okay? It never existed because George Lucas himself had issues. George Lucas himself had issues with writing the dialogue. The actors. Harrison Ford told him straight up, "You can write this stuff, but you can't say it." Like, you obviously know nothing about Star Wars. You obviously have not taken the time to actually like know what the hell Star Wars is about. If you don't understand that. You know, but people have this stupidity in their head that they act like it's always been pristine and amazing, and it just
they think it's Dune.
Oh my god.
They must think this
also,
is Dune.
Also, I think like my favorite scene of this show though, besides just this particular episode, besides the fight between Vader and Obi-Wan,
yes, Scotty,
is what he was saying to Leia there at the end, what Obi-Wan was talking to Leia there at the end, you know, talking about her parents.
They put the old theme on the record. They did.
I have so many scenes from just this episode, but the whole scene,
time,
like from all the whole series that I love. But I'm telling you, man, my mic was muted, and I'm glad because when Obi said, "I will do what I must," and took his stance with the two fingers, I lost my shit. My mic was muted, so y'all couldn't hear it. I've got that figure. I've got that.
I love that stance. I wish he would have used the defense stance, but I think that actually is more symbolic of him using that stance when he's older.
It was pure Obi. That whole scene is exactly who Obi-Wan Kenobi is. Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted from this show. That's why I got so emotional because I've been telling Brian for weeks, man. If we just get some Vader, Obi-Wan dialogue, some form of closure before the death scene on the Death Star, and man, that whole thing, and the fact that he had Vader beat again and chose to apologize to him and said goodbye, Vader, like that is exactly who Obi-Wan is. That's exactly who he is.
You know what? I forgot to send a link. You know, Scotty, if you want a link, man, let me send you a link. I'd love to hear Scotty's take on.
That's the same stance he took, guys, right before he murked Darth Maul.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's the exact same stance.
Wait, are we talking the first movie?
In the Rebels when he
it's not. No, it's not.
Yes, go watch.
No, it's not. You know why it's not? Because he knew not to take that stance. He took the basic defense stance because Maul was coming with that same. Think about this. That was a symbolic scene. Obi-Wan had changed by that time because he understood what Maul was going to do. Maul came with the same exact stance he used on Qui-Gon when he killed him. That's why Obi-Wan switched his stance. That stance he used to kill Maul was a basic defense Jedi stance, and he beat him with it. That's why that scene's symbolic. One learned, one didn't. And that's what makes that scene special for me. But I know that scene. He took a
But I just think the lines that he said to Leia were
Oh, I know why you think that though, Chris. I know why you think that. Remember, he did that stance initially, but he switched it. He took the stance initially.
He went into his defensive pose. He went into
into the defensive pose.
Right into
he knew what he was going to do.
He pointed right at Maul.
You know,
and
Scotty,
waited for Maul to make a move.
Scotty,
yeah, but the defensive basic stance.
Here, Scotty says, you know, the way that this ended, I think I'm okay with no second season for all the right reasons. Yeah, look, if they don't do any more, dude, what a beautiful way to lead up to.
I don't think there's any
New
need
Hope.
to do anymore unless you're just gonna go with the crap that's
This
already
fits
done.
in perfect right before Rogue One and New Hope.
Yeah.
I mean, it fits in perfect.
Yeah, we're gonna get another piece of it with Andor, but like,
I
this is
really
good.
hope we get a Cal Kestis project because I would watch it.
Jacob says, Enosh, are we going to see Vader in the Ahsoka series? I think we're going to see probably some Anakin flashbacks.
Ahsoka's gonna be later in the storyline though, like after Mandalorian.
Ahsoka's during during current stuff, right? So after Return of the Jedi. So, but I think that we'll see like Anakin flashbacks. You know, Vader's dead by that point, so we won't see like true Vader. But I think we'll see flashbacks. I think that they'll bring Hayden back for.
Or maybe even Anakin as a Force ghost to Ahsoka.
Maybe, dude. Oh my.
That would be
gosh.
That would hurt my heart. That would hurt my heart bad.
Oh my gosh.
That's the only other dialogue I want. I got Vader,
Yeah.
Anakin, and I want Anakin Ahsoka. Like
Can you
that's
imagine
what I want.
Anakin showing up and be like, what did he call her?
Snipes.
Snip.
Yeah.
And Sky Guy.
Snip.
Oh my
Snip.
gosh.
Snips, sorry, yeah.
Snips. Can you imagine if he like shows up and he's like, hey Snips. Oh my gosh. JD Music here says it's an issue with legacy. People grow up with New Hope at a young age, and they want the sequels to make them feel like they did when they were a kid. And and here's the thing. Maybe it's just me. This stuff makes me feel like I felt when I was a kid. I never lost that innocence. These people grew up and they became assholes. Like
Apparently.
seriously. Like honestly, like that's what they've become. They've just become that, and
it goes back
they're
to
Riva.
expectation.
They are freaking Riva. It
goes back to what we've said about
they act like
expectation.
everybody
though.
killed their stuff,
It's gone back to what we've said about expectation, though, Enosh. Like,
Yeah.
people put too much on it. Like, I think sometimes I'm one of the few people that just goes into something and lets it be what it is. I mean, good or bad, it is what it is.
Yeah. I love Elsa here because I know that Elsa, really doesn't like the sequels, right? But she says here, but even I recognize that they are part of Star Wars. I don't like it, but I need to accept.
Yeah.
I'm just not bitching about it 24/7. And that's, that's the thing. Look, there's parts of Star Wars that I don't like either, but I don't need to bitch about it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just have to accept, okay, this is part of Star Wars. All right, I'm moving on. I'm gonna talk about the things that I like here. Andrew says I can't stop talking about Master Qui-Gon. I mean,
hey, no one was giving this show a harder time than me for that episode 3 and 4. I just wasn't able to connect it. It didn't feel like episode 1 and 2. Then episode 5 brought it together, and episode 6 gave me everything I wanted. Now I can't wait to go back and actually watch them all together.
Yay, yeah. Scotty's here! What's up, Scotty?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Scotty?
What's up, man?
Because I marked out like 3 times, man, and I cried twice that I know of. I know I cried twice, but I'm marked out when I saw Qui-Gon.
Hey, Crybaby, check your Instagram.
But no, you're just trying to convince me that I'm not seeing what
I'm not.
seeing.
Dude, I literally screenshotted it, you douche. You can't beat basic evidence.
Basic evidence.
What's up, Scotty? How you doing, brother?
And now you're not. No, you're gonna look at it. I told you he switched the stance.
Yeah, you know what, Robert Burnett. Look, I love Robert Meyer Burnett. Don't get me wrong. I think that a lot of times he's got some really good takes. You know what? But that doesn't mean I'm going to agree with him on everything. And this is something that I would absolutely
I might keep
disagree
these Brodan and make avatars out of them. These are really good.
Absolutely disagree.
Yeah, but that's what he switched.
Dude, I completely agree with Elsa on what she just said about Beru. Beru's a badass.
Right?
I loved Aunt Beru. Yeah. That shit was.
She's got a cycler buried in the wall.
Aunt Beru's just like, bring it on. I don't care. I don't care if it's an Inquisitor or not. Bring it on. I got hidden weapons up in here. That's my boy.
I love when the door opened. I love when the door opened and she comes in and she just stole on her like, bah!
Bam!
Yep. She just straight up hit Riva.
And I was feeling for Riva at the end of that. Like, out of all the acting Moses Ingram did in this show, that was her best acting. Right there.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
I give credit. I was hard on this show, but I'll give them credit. They
where does Riva go after this?
I have no clue.
I don't know, but the way she said, "I want justice," I don't think she's done with Vader. That might be
Vader.
That could be an
She left her lightsaber in the sand.
Yeah,
but she can always
make another one. Just a different.
No. She can't. She can't get a ship. She can't get another lightsaber. She never have another weapon
she's
again.
Dying from a cauterized wound.
she's dying from her wound. You know, she'll never do.
Yeah,
Hey,
because in Star Wars, apparently realistic stuff happens.
Well, we all know that no one can steal a ship in Star Wars.
Can I make a statement here?
No.
Why are we putting logic in with my space wizards?
You know what?
It's space fantasy.
Shut up.
Look.
Logic.
I'll be the first one to admit. Look, I can debate stuff and take stuff seriously. So I understand when people take stuff seriously. Don't get me wrong. But honestly, I just don't know how we could sit here and act like even with like a wound, with all the people who have been sliced up, diced up, cut in half, stabbed, just everything that's, electrocuted, people want Mace Windu to come back and like nobody'd have a problem with that. And Mace Windu got like fried, man. Like, you know what I mean? Vader got all of his limbs chopped up. He's like in, in a suit and everything. Look at what's his name? General Grievous was literally like a heart and lungs and some eyeballs. You know what I mean? Like in a that he did to himself, like body modification and crap. Like I'm sorry, man. Like I just see this. Luke is sitting there out in the middle of Hoth, frozen. And like they survive. Gosh, man. Like, are
Vader
we really
is
debating
obsessed
that?
with Obi-Wan, and the whole thing about that Star Destroyer could capture that little freighter. And okay, look, the proof. I can give you proof right now that Vader wasn't worried about catching that ship. He only wanted Kenobi. Yeah. Not one scene in all this series did we see one TIE fighter.
Let's talk about why people really die. They have a broken heart in Star Wars. So come on, right? I mean,
yeah, she died.
Well, Qui-Gon. Okay, so a lot of people are focusing on why did Qui-Gon just die then? Because light side Jedi know to let themselves go into the Force. They don't hold on after death.
Well, he was
all of these ones that have lived, all of these ones that have survived, have been because they were Darksiders and they pushed themselves because they feared death. They don't want to die. They want to hold on to this world. That's the whole reason why Qui-Gon left, because Qui-Gon light side Jedi know to go into the Force. It's quite simple to me.
I think he was hit in a bad spot. He held on long enough to help Obi get that lightsaber and cut Darth Maul in half. That's my theory. When you see the lightsaber shaking, that's not Obi-Wan doing it. That's Qui-Gon letting Obi-Wan know, you got one last shot. Do this. And he did it, and he won the fight, and that's what I like to believe. And then he died. That's what I like to believe.
All right. Well, Scotty, what do you think, man?
What do you think about what? The whole thing, or
yeah,
just
the whole
topic
thing,
specifically?
Man. Yeah, well, the whole thing.
Tron. What do you think about Tron, Scotty?
Tron talk.
Don't hate on Tron talk.
I love Tron, bro. I love it.
Dude, I'll kick you out. I'll kick you out, man. If you want to start like bashing on Tron talk, man, we'll talk Tron all night long.
Old man.
Look, this I'll say. Kenobi is my favorite Jedi. He's my favorite Star Wars character. I got all kinds of Kenobi stuff. I wish I had my camera set up behind me because I have a bunch of Kenobi stuff on the shelf.
I got a lot of Kenobi stuff too. He's my favorite also.
Yeah,
and with the exception of Darth Maul, but Darth Maul is my favorite Sith, and Kenobi's my favorite Jedi of all time.
What the heck is that? Is that what's that mural behind you?
Oh yeah, it's just a cyberpunk landscape mural.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Then I got the Neuromancer poster right here. That's William Gibson book.
I see that.
Yeah,
I see that.
There's a really awesome Brazilian artist
that I love cyberpunk. Anyway.
But yeah, so no, I love Kenobi. I was worried, about halfway through. I was not necessarily in a bad way. I was just like, it might not be as like epic as, I wanted it. But this last episode was just, if you didn't if you were a person who wanted something out of this series and you don't have it by now, then I just don't know what your expectations are, when it comes to the stories between Anakin and Kenobi.
Yeah.
And the way it was told tonight was really honestly beautiful. And I think, one thing, if I had one thing to
use that word, Scotty, because that's the same word I use. It was beautiful, man.
Yeah. I think, whatever, William, let's have some joy. I want to say this last thing before I hand the mic off is I want to really hand it to Hayden Christensen for coming back to this show.
Yes.
Knowing that he would only show his face for a moment under a hood, right. And then only like in Split, Vader, like a lot of prosthetics and stuff. And he did it anyway.
Oh, so good.
And because I'm really glad, I think this is a case where like, if it had been like a deep fake, even though I'm really not a hater on that stuff, I'm not a hater on the CG stuff. I'll accept really bad CG. I think it's because I used to be a CG artist, so I have some empathy for CG artists. So I'm just like, I don't want to hate on artwork as much as possible. But I honestly think if there had been CG for like Vader's face and Hayden, it wasn't Hayden, I don't think it would have had as much impact. And with all those pieces in place, I mean, it had such an impact. And I'm really just still processing, and that's a good thing. I'm glad it was so good for me that I'm still processing.
And I want to run a theory by everybody real quick before we get into it, because I felt it when I was watching that scene when Obi left him. Now, do you think? Because this is what I'm going to choose to believe. Obi is still a true believer that he is the chosen one, and he will bring balance to the Force someday, and that is one of the reasons he's not killing him.
Chosen One's dead from Obi-Wan's perspective. I got a different take for that. Kenobi was haunted for 10 years here thinking he had killed Anakin Skywalker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and a lot of that guilt and a lot, because like, what does he say at the end? He says, "We're free," right? Yes. What was Kenobi chained by? He was chained by this guilt that he had killed Anakin, wishing that he hadn't, probably, and thinking about that constantly for 10 years straight. And when he's in that moment, his friend is already dead. There's this Darth in front of him, and it's him conquering that sort of guilt, But he also knows he's not going to go through that again, right? He's already made the decision. He's a Jedi, right? They preserve life. They give in to the will of the Force. They don't take personal action against it.
That makes sense too. I like that theory too.
That's good theory too. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking, Scotty, but I just couldn't vocalize it.
I'm not going to put myself to that guilt again. We'll leave it up to Luke. We'll pass that off to Luke. Let Luke deal with that shit.
I'm done. Yeah.
And that really is the theme, really, for the last part of the show, even like with Luke, he's like, let the future, bring what it's going to bring, let him be a kid, like it's that same thing. It's Obi-Wan's mastery. He's not as powerful as Anakin.
I think I've actually got a theory to add with you, Scotty, and see if this goes along with what you're saying. The Jedi at the end of the Clone Wars, they were so hidebound and stuck to prophecy, to destiny, to how things are going,
to control.
And I think that he's finally let go of that. I think Obi-Wan's finally let go of, like you said, he said, well, let him grow up, let him do his own thing,
Right.
You guys ever notice there's not one good Jedi story? They all end in tragedy.
Well, that's that's the nature of it. The nature of the Force is these people, all these Jedi, all these Force users, right? They're part of an ebb and flow.
What the hell?
William, what are you doing, bud?
Old man.
William.
What was that? Was he in an F4?
William.
Yeah, was he in an F4? Was he back in
where are you, William? William is like riding on a Star Destroyer, man. Like,
am I not welcome?
You're
welcome, but dude, you're like, there's like an extremely horribly loud. You got to watch this back because there's an extremely loud, horrible sound. It sounds like you're in a fighter jet.
Oh, I didn't hear it from here. Sorry.
Well, it's because you're hard of hearing, old man.
Is that Darth Fluffy?
Yes. That is Kylo Bean, also known as Bean Solo.
Nice.
That's his real name.
Nice. No, dude, you just got like horrible background noise going. Well, yeah, it's not as bad.
But I just want to say this last thing, and then again I'll shut up. But it's like these stories are about the ebb and flow.
Give it up for Marcus Cruz, everybody, coming in with the same old lame shit he always comes in with. Good job, Marcus. Golf clap for you, bro.
Okay, let Scotty get his point out here. Okay,
it's all good. Yeah, these stories are all about the ebb and flow of the Force. These are all just like sort of pawns on a board. Pawns might be a bad word, but the power of the Jedi is giving themselves over to that ebb and flow, to not taking control.
Yes.
The fallacy of the dark side is wanting to take all of that power for themselves to control it, right? And so Obi-Wan's power is to give up that control to an extent and, go into the will of the Force, which is why Qui-Gon's the perfect master for this, and to prepare him for what he has to do by New Hope. And it's great. Like I said, if you weren't down with this, like, I'm not saying people can have a difference of opinion, but it's like, okay, and that's fine. But you're not going to like most of Star Wars. Like, if you're going to hang out here, it's going to be a bad time. And I don't mean like Poindexter Lounge. I mean in the Star Wars fandom.
I'm just fucking with you, Marcus. It's okay. I do it all the time. It's all right. You are allowed to have your own opinion.
No, Scotty, I think that you have very well put what a lot of us are thinking, right? I mean, it's and you and I have had so many conversations about, Star Wars and, even the sequel trilogy and just everything. And it's like when you're looking at the Force and how the Force works and how these characters work together. And I mean, it's a beautiful thing to see this story and the layers and the tapestry that is presented, and I'm with you. Like, listen, if you didn't like this, if you genuinely just didn't like this, okay, but you're not going to crap on my parade because, like, I see the beauty in this. Others see the beauty in this, and so don't try to come in, just like, well, it sucks, and I mean, it's not this and it's not that and it's not this other thing. Like, we're not sitting around here talking about what it's not. We're sitting around here talking about what it is, and what it is to us. And to me, this was some of the best Star Wars, man, that has been.
I enjoyed it
in the entirety of Star Wars.
At the end of the day,
I loved it.
It was enjoyable. Like, I don't understand what people. The problem is people don't learn to just just sit there and say, yeah, I enjoy. Like, I'm gonna say, Jurassic Park Dominion was probably a 2-pack of ass. You know what I went there for? I went there to enjoy and actually have fun seeing people that I grew up with, and I had fun. What is it? A great movie? Probably not, but I enjoyed it. I laugh at people who don't learn to enjoy things because. At the end of the day, man, I don't. I just don't. I ask this: why are you a fan if you're not out to enjoy it? If you're not trying to enjoy it, listen, you can end up not enjoying something. That's fine.
You can't make me enjoy this.
But if you don't try to enjoy it, then how are you a fan?
I'm telling you, man. I wish I knew how to explain it. There's this movie. There's this movie called. It's about Cameron Crowe's real life. It's called Almost Famous. And there's a scene where the girl goes.
Great movie.
There's a scene where this girl goes, no one will ever understand how some silly piece of art or music will make you feel emotional. No one will ever get it. And that's how I am about Star Wars. To have certain moments in Star Wars pull me in like that, and I don't even realize I'm sobbing. Like, I haven't sobbed over a movie in years, bro. I think the last time I sobbed at a movie was when Marley died and Marley and Me, okay? Like that's how long it's been. That's how long it's been since I sobbed.
Hold up. No, you sobbed at Endgame, though.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, don't be lying to us.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Because if I was sobbing, fucker, you were sobbing.
Yeah, I forgot about Endgame. Yeah, I felt some kind of way.
You damn well know that we were both sitting there going, all right, we're good. And then, you know what she said? I want cheeseburgers, and I was
the funeral scene got me, but that whole third act got me. But I don't know. Obi-Wan apologizing to Anakin.
Oh,
Ewan killed it in this whole thing, bro. And you can talk about you can nitpick about bad acting here and bad acting there, but there was not one bad Ewan McGregor scene he killed it.
Yeah.
Man, and when he's apologizing to Anakin, like you can still see he's got like a little bit of hope. Like, can I bring my friend back? Can I bring him back? And Anakin shuts him down. He shuts it down.
And I loved how it like modulated.
I'm done.
Oh, sorry,
You know?
Chris. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done. But that moment, I don't know. Like my cheeks. I don't care.
You just
who
said
knows,
you were
man.
done.
I was sobbing. Bro.
That's right.
You just said you were done.
No, go ahead, Scotty.
I was just gonna say, just the way that they did that scene with Hayden's lines, where as he's struggling to breathe and kind of breathing into the mask differently, it keeps modulating between his voice and the dark and the mask voice.
Yes.
And it wasn't. It went beyond just sort of like a device to kind of like show,
No,
that
it was
Anakin's
symbolic,
been
right?
taken over.
Scotty?
Yeah, it was symbolic as well,
symbolic.
but it was also functional, right? Because
Yeah,
he's like trying to take these big heaving breaths because his suit is starting to fail him.
Yeah.
And as he does, as he's taking the breath through the mask, he speaks in the Darth Vader voice. And then as he, like, after he gets his breath and he speaks again in his own voice, waiting for the suit to catch up. It was a good little touch, like that's good direction,
Yes.
Yeah, she's good. She's talented.
Yeah.
She really is. And I felt the symbolism. Like, I haven't felt symbolism in Star Wars like that since Luke is hiding from Vader and half of his face is light and half of it's dark, and you get all that symbolism right before he snaps out. But going from Vader's voice to Anakin's voice, Vader's voice, and you can see the confusion on Obi-Wan's face as he's trying to talk to, like, is this my friend? Is this like, it's crazy. And that was my absolute favorite scene. Even without the lightsaber battle, that would have been my favorite scene. That was just a bonus.
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard and Deborah Chow are killing it.
Yeah, they really are.
I could deal with no more Robert Rodriguez, but Deborah Chow or Bryce Dallas Howard, I'm down for Star Wars from any
Well,
time.
I need Robert Rodriguez to go take over the Predator franchise, and because
I don't know. He just always wants to put a horror element to it, and that's all right with me. But I don't know. I don't know why he feels that way.
Yeah, it didn't work for me on that one, but it's fine.
I mean, well, hey, I like the horror element of Star Wars. I mean, Rogue One was sick, but like I said,
I liked Rogue One a lot.
Yes, I love the ending. Like, it was perfect. I will say, with the one thing they have done Vader so right in Disney. Disney's one great thing of all the inconsistency. This is the one great thing that Darth Vader is the best written character they've done in of this whole thing. They made him better. I don't care. They made Darth Vader a better character.
Look. See. Here's my problem. Like, Jerry just literally just texted me.
Oh God, not again.
No, Jerry just texted me like an article or whatever, like where somebody's like explaining Riva's plan versus Vader and like why it's not good. And I just told him, I said, listen, dude, please don't. If you don't like it, you don't have to like it. I'm not going to tell you have to like it.
Right.
But don't hammer like an idea through to me. I'm not going to read that article. You are not going to change my mind about what I like and I enjoy.
No, that's somebody else's opinion. He wants you. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? Like, I just told him. I said, dude, I love you. I love you, but I don't care what the other side is. That's why, like, I'm not even looking at Marcus's comments because I just don't care. Like I love the people. I love Marcus. I love Jerry. Look, I love people here in the lounge, but this is the problem that I have with this type of fandom, is this idea that it's not good enough that you just don't like it. You have to try to rain on everybody's parade. You can't stand that I would like it. So you have to prove it to me or to others
that you shouldn't like it. Yeah,
that I shouldn't like it and that it's bad. You're never going to do that. I'm sorry, but you're never going to do that. You're never going to pop my bubble because you know what? I love Star Wars. You're like, oh, you just take anything? Yes, I will. Yes, at this point, I will literally take anything. I just don't care. I just don't care about anything else. You know what?
I don't care if it sucks. Scotty, give it to us.
Yeah, look, if you didn't like the production value, great. Guess what? It's still Star Wars. If you didn't like, Riva, fine. But you know what? I did. So you don't have to prove it to me. You don't have to be mad at me. You don't have to feel like I'm somehow I'm your lost cause or I went astray because that's how but I already feel like that when people come at me for loving The Last Jedi.
Guys,
You know what I mean? Like,
let
there's
me-
some people that I have legitimate conversations with.
Right.
Scotty was one of them. Scotty, like, that's what I love about Scotty. Scotty came to me in a conversation, and we actually had a few conversations about The Last Jedi. You know what I mean? And it's not that, like, I had to convince Scotty either, like, of my, that, like, he has to think what I thought. He just asked me why I feel the way I did, and I explained that to him. And then, like, what did you go? You said you watched it, like, what, 60 times or something like that?
Yeah, I have like literally like lucid chart diagrams of that movie. I've seen it more than any other Star Wars movie, and it's not my favorite. But like it is funny, like when I hear people talking about Last Jedi, like I'm not trying to be arrogant here. I'm just saying, like, Soph can attest. I literally sat and I was like, I am determined to understand this movie. And for 3 months, like I diagrammed it. I studied different things. I even went down to studying color palettes. I even went down to like analyzing like diction throughout the movie, like how things are like spoken. And when someone says like I didn't like Last Jedi, I always ask, which part didn't you like? And there are valid points, by the way. I'm not necessarily a defender of Last Jedi, but it's not as bad as you think, and I could tell you why.
I don't think it was bad. It was just.
I don't hate it. I just don't. These people that put it on their top tier list, I'm like, wow, you must like a different type of Star Wars. It's okay. It's the one Star Wars movie that doesn't fit, but fits. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. If you get to actually take it away from the story, there's a way that movie is put together scene for scene. It's something that someone would call pacing, but it's not actually pacing. And I have like a couple different edits that I made of the movie, and then I'd watch the whole movie through after I made like an edit. And there are certain, like, when you're in the movie, and especially if you're seeing it for the 1 or 2 times. By the way, most people who hated The Last Jedi saw it once. In my experience, talking to people now, they saw it once, they were completely detested, and they didn't watch it again, or they loved it and
I've
they
seen
saw
it
it
many times. Yeah.
So, and I'm just speaking in generalities. So my apologies if you don't fall into that, but it has less to do with the actual story, and it has more to do with the way it was directed and how shots were made, specifically between Camino and all the Luke and Rey scenes. So there's actually a functional problem with the movie, and if you fix that problem, it's actually a lot more palatable, and it's not as bad as you think.
I would love it if you just take out just don't disrespect the lightsaber the way you did. Just walk past it, roll your eyes, something. Don't flip it over your shoulder and get rid of it.
Some stream in the future, we should talk about it because it's an interesting conversation.
Bite.
Yeah,
and I think it'd
look,
be a beautiful movie.
Look, as far as the lightsaber though, I would say this though. You got to remember something about this. That lightsaber means something to us because we're fans and we have collectibles. Okay, in real life, if you handed me, like, if I had fought literally my father, what I thought was going to be to the death, I didn't know he was my father. I get emotionally like messed up with that, get my hand cut off, and I've moved on, right? And then years later, you bring this back to me like it's a souvenir, like it's like something that I should look back on fondly. There's nothing about that lightsaber for Luke that lightsaber actually should be this like souvenir, this like amazing thing that like he would want to keep from his father. There's a lot of baggage attached with that lightsaber. That lightsaber that lightsaber killed younglings. That lightsaber like cost, like went with his hand. That lightsaber, caused more trouble than it did good. And even though it was Luke's first lightsaber, it wasn't really his.
You know what I mean? Obi-Wan picked it up.
Yeah, I'm just saying for Luke, I get it, like that. I love that lightsaber, right? That's the OG lightsaber, right? That's that's the thing. But like, so as a collectible, yeah, I see it as like if that was real life, and like say say somebody handed you like a gun that was like something that was your dad's, but your dad like did horrible things with that gun, and then like and that was before you knew it. Now you know all that stuff. You may not want that gun. Like that gun may not mean anything to you.
I think the problem is not him it's just the way they made it a joke. Like it's
just
not
the way they made a joke out of it.
It's not funny. That was not a funny scene. Not in any sense. That should have been, get that goddamn thing away from me. right now.
Or
That's
just
what he
walk
should've
right
said.
by her, but don't flip it over your shoulder and then have porgs stepping on it, wondering if one of the porgs is going to die, and it's all he. That I just didn't understand it. It felt disrespectful to me, you know.
You know, this is what I'll say. I do want to say this while we're talking about sequel hate, and it's fair. Look, I'm not like disagreeing or coming in and crashing your party here on
damage.
it. But
Emotional damage.
Thank you, Draga, for the $2 super chat.
But you know, honestly, all this stuff filling in this era, and I know there's a lot of people who just want Star Wars to move on, and I would say to them, like, don't worry, they're going to do both. They're going to fill in gaps and they're going to move on at the same time.
Yeah.
So, but I will say that, like, you know, all this content is making me even appreciate, you know, love Star Wars more and appreciate the sequels more. I really do believe there's going to be a day where, like, a lot of people are going to accept the sequels more.
Oh, they did it with the prequels, Scotty. Yeah, absolutely. It's coming.
But I think it's coming quicker than
Yeah.
it did for the prequels.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, for instance, there's a new book coming out at the end of this month, Shadows of the Sith. I've read, like, previews of it. There's, like, a preview chapter, which if any of you care about Star Wars literature, they don't necessarily keep to it, but, you know, they do write it, and then some of it's really good. And, yeah, like that's going to have, like, a scene with, like, Anakin as a Force ghost sort of helping out Luke, right? And they're going to start, and what that book means, they're going to start filling in a lot of this era, you know, up to the sequel trilogy. And I think people are going to appreciate the character of Luke. And quite honestly, Enoch's explanation, I think, is, like, right on.
I like how
with the conversation we had about it. And it made me see things differently. Because I was expecting one thing. You know, I was a person with Last Jedi too. I was expecting Luke to be a Sith. I actually thought that, like, Luke was like gonna have turned to the dark side, because a lot of the early posters had him, like, over everybody in the background in his face. It was all
like
red.
The Jedi should die and all that. Yeah, man.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, dude, are we gonna get, like, Dark Empire Luke? Man, I'd be down for that.
That would have been cool, right?
Oh, dude.
But yeah, anyway, so, like, you know, I had a lot of weird thoughts about that movie, and I think that was a lot of people's problem. I think it was my problem. Like I said, it's not even in my top 3 Star Wars movies, but it's definitely not in my bottom 2.
Yeah, and I really like. I get so much shit, but I'm gonna say it. I really enjoy The Rise of Skywalker. It's one that I can watch over and over, and I know it's campy, and I know it's packed filled with fans.
I just watched it again today. I watched it again today.
I really enjoy it. I scream every time when they land on the Star Destroyer and BB-8 goes rolling out in front of everybody with all the horses. And I always scream, "Go BB-8, go!" I always yell at the TV, man. I get wrapped up when I watch the shit. I love it. You know, I know it's cool to, like. I'm still a R2 guy though at heart. I've only ever felt any kind of emotion for a droid 2 times. When K2SO went out like a hero. And this other droid that protected Tala when you
play Fallen Order, just hit me up when you feel that same emotion. You're gonna feel it. That scene where he's in the cave, when he's in the freaking cave and the little bot of BD1, he plays a little message from his master. His master's basically saying goodbye to him, and you can see you're not gonna see an emotion from a bot from, like, facial expressions, but you're gonna see from movements. And when he puts his head down, I lose it, because I know exactly what the hell that means. And
I think you'll be surprised of, like, what is revered in the future. Once people get, I think, the backstory of a lot of these things, and they understand the reasoning and the you know, the filling in of stuff and everything. Like, look, for some people, like I'll like Laser Luke here, like, for example, Soups, right? The YouTuber Soups. He just, you know, he went off on this series, you know, for everything until, like, episode 5. And then it was like, oh my gosh, the series is so good. He was literally talking about how the series was horrible. It was awful. It was the worst thing ever, you know. And then all of a sudden, like, he got a little bit of, like, a little flashback. And now all of a sudden it was, the whole thing was beautiful and brilliant and everything. What I noticed is there's some people who catch on early. There's some people who get it early and they go, okay, you know what? I'm here for the ride. I'm going to take this ride. You know, but it's like being on a roller coaster and expecting, you know, loops and everything. And, like, the first part of your roller coaster is you got to gain momentum. You know, you got to go up. There's a slow climb. Then once you get over that top, man, you catch speed to be able to do the things that you need to do later. And I just feel like some people they don't get that. They want to be on one of those roller coasters that like shoot right out, like with the momentum, like use the magnets and whatnot, and just like in the thrust, and that's what they want. But not every story is like that. And I'm glad when I see that Star Wars is not like that.
I wonder how many of these directors piece these together, but they are, while they're piecing, they're thinking, okay, these people are gonna shit all over episode 3, but then they're gonna be back at episode 4. Like, I wonder how many of these directors are thinking big picture, like we need rewatchability.
Well,
when they go back and
I don't think
binge this
directors
stuff,
are necessarily the ones that are thinking about that. I mean, they're thinking.
It's their art, though. Wouldn't they be the ones to want to piece it together in the way that it matters later on?
Well, the way that Lucasfilm works is they have a story group that everything comes in and out of from head writers. So what their organization is, they have a head writer. That head writer has like a couple writers working under them, and sometimes like one of those writers working under them actually writes the episode, right? But they're being supervised by a head writer. That head writer has to pass everything through the Lucasfilm story group. Of which there are like three main prominent members at any one time.
Holy shit!
So the sort of like the specific direction of how things get created, the director has very little to do with that.
Once it
goes through that process, then it drops down to the director. And like, sure, there's like creative license, right? But as far as like crafting things for the future and keeping those kinds of things in mind, that really falls down to the writer in this Lucasfilm story group.
Pam, you're right. I'm actually old enough to remember that. I was very young. Okay, I was only about 6 when Empire came out. It wasn't even the first movie I saw in theaters. The first movie I ever saw was Jedi, but I remember people were pissed. Like like people were writing back then. You had to write a letter. There wasn't no social media. You had to write hate mail, real hate mail, and people were pissed that Luke was Vader's son. Like they were legit pissed. I remember that, Pam. That was a real thing.
Wait, hold on. No, I don't think that's right. I think
this is true.
Is it?
This is true. And you know what? Sophie can actually attest. I called this at the beginning of this series. I was like, I don't know. I felt it in my bones. It was mostly because from like reading Brotherhood, I just read like recently, and I had just rewatched like a lot of the Rebels episodes. But yeah, like Ahsoka takes down. I mean, I guess from I'm gonna say like from our camera perspective. So. Yeah, Ahsoka in Rebels, right before Ahsoka gets to the point where Ezra will in the future pull her into the in between, she takes a swipe at Darth Vader on, his
right side, her left side. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and then this when Obi-Wan opened this one up on the other side. But yeah, Soph was witness that I had predicted. I guess it wasn't a prediction. It was like I was like it would be so cool.
For some reason I was thinking it was the opposite side. For some reason I was thinking
that's really cool though, right? Like, how cool is it?
And it is very cool.
Everybody he loved the most
predicted is that's how we're going to see Hayden Christensen's face.
Yep.
If you're going to see Hayden Christensen's face, you want to see it through the mask, and that means the mask is going to have to get shattered. So why not, make it a little symbolic, tie things back a little bit.
No, that's actually really cool now that I think about it, because those are the 3 people he loved most. Okay, besides Leia and them, like the 3 people that were involved in trying to turn him were Ahsoka in Rebels, now Kenobi, and then later on Luke got the whole mask off of him. He said, "Let me take my mask off." That is dope as shit when you think about that, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
That's what I'm saying. How like all this stuff they're making now is enriching the other stuff we've had,
Oh man, just to see new Vader shots,
exactly
of him, on that Star Destroyer, and of him doing things. I mean, I was surprised that we got as much Vader as we got in this series.
I know,
we
right?
got a lot of new Vader.
Yeah, awesome.
From episode 3 to the end, we got
Gosh, man,
we got 4 episodes of Vader.
So much Vader in this series. I mean.
And if you want more Vader, go read the comics, because it's the best Star Wars comic series they have right now. It's been canon since 2017, and actually going back to 2015 is actually when they actually started, because it is kind of confusing because there's 3 Vader series that they did before 2014, which is
You're talking about the current run of Vader?
Yeah. So pre-canon, Legends. What was that?
I think Bounty Hunters is better, but it's personal opinion.
Bounty Hunters is really good too. I mean, Bounty Hunters has a lot of, Bounty Hunters came out really strong, and they had in all their issues have been great. Darth Vader, I think, took about like a run and a half to like really find a cool stride. But the Dr. Aphra stuff and the Darth Vader stuff and all that I think is really great.
They started doing some special things with the covers to get its cells up, though, because its cells were not good coming out. And if you notice, they did some really kick-ass things with the covers that really started getting people to take a look at it. But I couldn't give it away at first, but now people are starting to catch on to it, especially the people I've gotten to buy Bounty Hunters, because Bounty was doing it like from the beginning, and then those people I've made that connection.
It came out real strong. Yeah. And it deserves it. It's really good. But
so man, just so many characters that were more fleshed out, Uncle Ben or Uncle Owen, I'm sorry, and Aunt Beru.
Yeah.
A lot more fleshed out in this.
And all those people who are like complaining that like, oh, how is this going to happen with Luke, because he doesn't know about lightsaber. Well, you know what? I don't even think that would have mattered, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
But he was knocked out. He didn't see a lightsaber, so those people, those people should be okay with that.
Well, also, like a lot of they're 9 years old, for frick's sake. I mean, or 10 or whatever. Like, there were still some things that happened when I was 10 that I don't quite remember. Like, even if he had seen a lightsaber,
I got a question.
But I'm glad that he didn't, though. I'm glad that he didn't, though, because then those people can't complain about that.
The Leia thing, because I had no problem with them adding all the Leia stuff in there that we didn't know about before. But maybe it's me, but when you first see episode 4, when she refers to them, now that I've seen this story, there's a lot more meat to this story than the way she refers to them when, General Kenobi. It just seems like she would refer to him as somebody that she went on this life or death adventure with a little bit more.
I still think she was just being. I think she was just being formal. Like she was needing to get to the point. She was needing to get to the point of, Bail, or, my father Bail wants you to come and help us. Can you help us?
Okay. So let me speak to this. Because she's a 10-year-old girl at this point, right? And she had this adventure with Ben, right? Now, if you skip, what is it, 9 years, I think? Because what are they, 19? Something like
18,
that. 18.
They're 19. 18. They're 19 in episode 4.
Something like that, 18 or 19. So, but the thing is that when you have now a young lady who is a senator who has grown up now, she is now trying to act she's no longer just a little girl. She's now trying to act in a serious, senatorial role, part of the Rebel Alliance and everything, and saying, General Kenobi. She's trying to be impressive, right, and kind of showing who she is. So she's
diplomatic.
Just like, General Kenobi, you served my father in the Clone Wars, But then I love it because it kind of shows that soft side, because then she breaks down and she because it's all that facade of being serious and diplomatic, and then she says, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope."
You're my only hope.
And everybody tried to say she didn't know him as Ben. She never referred to him as Ben in that movie.
And yet when Luke says, I'm here with Ben Kenobi.
And she jumps right up and knows exactly who he is.
Ben Kenobi, where is he?
So she knows him as Ben as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a lot of complaints around like the part with when Riva sort of reveals that Anakin Skywalker is still alive, and people are like, oh, like Kenobi, or like when she said Darth Vader at first, and people were like, oh, like he already knew that Anakin Skywalker was Darth Vader, and it was like that's not what that scene is like. That scene isn't contradicting that at all. And if you rewatch it, the moment that she says, he's been looking for you,
he's still alive.
Well, before she even says that, and she mentions Vader, his face, it is a close-up on Ewan McGregor's face at that moment that she says that. And he has the realization at that moment. He's already had the realization that he survived before she says Anakin Skywalker. So, anyway.
Well, he knew that Anakin
was Vader.
He knew that Anakin was Vader. That was never the question. Like, I don't understand how people got that wrong either.
Well, I got confused on it. But I like now that people have filled it in and been like, listen, he thought he killed him. He didn't know he was still alive. And then that leads up to what Scotty said about, I'm not going to go through this guilt again because I've already thought I killed him once. Okay, that makes perfect sense now. That fits perfectly. That makes it even more enjoyable to watch. I'm getting ready to go watch the whole thing. Like, that's what I'm doing when I'm done here. I'm gonna watch.
Yeah,
the
but
whole
no,
thing.
Scotty, you're absolutely right, man. Because like, I don't understand how people like misunderstood that. The like you said, you know what? You know what it seems like to me. It almost feels like people are like watching these things and they're just on their phone and they're like playing a game at
Correct.
the same time that they're like, and they're
Correct.
looking up every once in a while and kind of just hearing it and whatever, and then they're going like, well, that doesn't make any sense because now they're going back off of memory, like
or
from
worse,
10
they're
years
looking
ago.
for shit to hate on. They're
Well,
looking.
yeah, but I just feel like some of the average people, like they don't really pay attention to what they're actually watching. So when they look at that, they're just like, well, he already knew that he was Vader. Like, what the heck, right? And then it's like he saw him on the thing. Well, like that's not what it was about. It was about whether or not he survived or not. Because, like, look, you cut off people's limbs and you watch them burn to a crisp, like on the shore of a lava lake. You're not expecting the Emperor to come and like get him and put him in a armored suit that keeps him alive, and let's be honest, he shielded himself. It's not like he was watching the nightly news. He didn't know what what I love about this is it's brought out the fact that, and I've known this forever, but a lot of people I don't think understand this. They're just like, well, everybody knew who Darth Vader was. No, they didn't.
No, they really didn't.
No, they didn't. The average person, that's one of the things that I love about Lost Stars. Lost Stars was one of the first books that came out during the Disney era, and it really painted the picture that like most of the people in the galaxy, they don't understand that the Emperor is evil. They don't know that he's a Sith Lord. They don't know. Yeah, they don't. They just look at this is just the government. The government is there to help them. Most of these people they go into service for the government, thinking that the Emperor or that the Empire is helping them.
When you told me
that's a good thing.
Enosh, I tried to come at you with that, and I was like, dude, you're gonna tell me he never heard of Darth Vader? But then I thought about it. You're right. Tatooine is on the Outer Rim.
Oh well. There's another thing with that, and if you read, what's the? I need to look.
Or was
up this
that you,
Vader
Faye?
issue.
Was that you?
That was me that told you that,
Yeah,
dude.
like there's like, well, what? Oh my God, calm down, fuck.
Oh,
You guys are
sorry.
like married.
I was gonna say
What's Scotty?
I was just gonna say there's another like canon reason why Tatooine is like the safest place, and this comes from Qui-Gon telling Kenobi, and I can't remember. I've read a bunch of books that, and this isn't legend, this is canon. But there's a reason why, like Qui-Gon tells Kenobi, like, because he's like, look, like, isn't Anakin gonna go look for his family? Darth Vader avoids Tatooine specifically because of his history there. Yeah. He's scared. Darth Vader is scared of Anakin Skywalker, so he doesn't go to Tatooine. He doesn't want to bring up the memories of his mother. He doesn't want to bring up the memories of his slave childhood. Mm-hmm. None of those things, right? So, and so this
Pod
is in canon, and in the comics, there are elements of this too. Darth Vader does not like going to Tatooine for that reason.
Yep. That makes total sense.
Please don't.
I'm fading fast, guys. I had a blast.
Night, Chris.
I'm gonna get out of here. I love this episode.
Night, Chris.
I'm gonna go back and probably binge this a couple times, man, between tomorrow and the next day. But y'all be good. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
Love you too, Chris. All right, man.
Too, Chris.
Talk to you later. Yeah, no, you're right. Like there's all these things that like again, like you said, like it's Vader doesn't want to go to Tatooine. Vader is not known by everybody, like he's a military leader. So, but a lot of people who come in contact with Vader end up dead. Like, even, in the Empire, like you really don't want Vader coming and, checking up on your ship, like on your Star Destroyer, because a lot of people end up getting choke force, and force choked and die. So, it's, yeah, it's interesting how people like think about it, because we're on the outside and we're looking in, we're watching the movie, but people actually in that world don't think the same way. They don't see things because they're not privy to the information that we are privy to. We are so spoiled thinking that like all this information is just out there, but man, you literally got people living in huts, man, farming moisture, you know, like on a dead planet, you know. They're not in tune with what's going on in the rest of the galaxy, or they probably wouldn't even be there, you know.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't look like there's a Daily Gazette out there, so.
yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, I'm sure there's other great places where they could live, you know, where you know, but some people that's just their lot in life. That's just what they're doing, you know. And
Well,
so
but also, like you said earlier, you know, Kenobi was out in the desert on Tatooine. He barely went into town to go to work. Like, it's not like he was sitting around the cantina watching a holonet, you know.
yeah,
Hmm.
And
yeah, I mean,
even if he saw Vader, they weren't necessarily going, you know, like, even if you see Vader on
Hey,
the holonet with
Shuri.
the Emperor, they're not necessarily gonna say that's Lord Vader standing right there beside Palpatine, you know, like.
right.
How many times in regular life do we see politicians all together, and unless you're told who that politician is, they're just a bunch of guys standing in a room, you know, like.
Well, and that's the thing. So they're not going to point out the fact that he's evil, that he's a Dark Lord of the Sith, that he's, you know what I mean, that he's like this enforcer type of guy, because the Emperor was all about deception and was trying to deceive everyone that the Empire was a good thing, right? I mean, he stands up on in episode 3 and he says, "Look at these scars." Like, he goes for the sympathy vote, right? He's like, "Look, they attacked me. They did these horrible things to me, but we're going to put together the first galactic empire for a more civil union," you know, like, and try, you know, he's trying to
They're
make
a
it out
great
that
and
it's a good thing.
secure society. Yeah.
Well, and he controlled all the information too. That
Mhm.
was the one thing. It was the Star Wars community was very much an old West type of setup. You know, there wasn't a lot of technology like we're talking to each other right now, and he controlled everything from the center. He controlled everything, and Vader was only, you really, like you said, you really didn't want to see Vader because you saw him. Something was about to go down that nobody was about to find out.
Yeah.
You know, it was really, it would be like having, it was like when the Nazis, when they first took over, you didn't see what the SS was doing at first. They were perceived and pushed out as keepers of order until veneer was taken off and you saw what they really were. But at the beginning, they weren't that, and the rest of the world didn't see that until
Yeah.
it really hit the fan. But I enjoyed this episode. This was the best of the 6. The last 2 didn't do it for me, but this one did. I did like
That's
seeing
awesome to hear.
the fight with Vader, the lightsaber duel. I did enjoy because even growing up, you really didn't get to see him move like that. By the time
Yeah.
we see Vader
Mhm.
and in Star Wars, he's 40, so to see him basically in his prime, there really isn't a lightsaber battle other than Star Wars that I didn't like. The rest of them are all choreographed great. I mean, even the prequel episodes, which I think this show actually makes the prequels stronger. I know a lot of people malign the
I
prequels,
agree.
but there was a
Yeah.
lot of references to the prequels. The only the parts I did not like about it was one of the characters that I really
What's up,
connected with,
Austin?
that I thought could have gone more was Riva, was third sister. I thought her journey could have been a pivotal point, throughout the series to run alongside what we already know as far as Vader. I thought they left a lot on the table with her. I mean, I'm not saying that they won't, use her again or anything else. They left that door wide open. Uh, but that was the only real thing. The only other thing is, as much as I did love the battle between Vader and how they were using the Force, when I watch a brand new episode of Game of Thrones or something like that, and I see 2 guys dueling it out, part of my entanglement in that drama is knowing that one of these guys isn't going to live or something's really going to change. One of the things, and I hate to bring this up in that aspect, is that I knew how spectacular this fight was, and I
Prequel,
loved it.
yeah. That's
I
that's
know,
the prequel syndrome, right? I
yeah,
mean, so
I know that both of these men are going to walk away. They're both going to live. But like I said, this episode it did a good job on wrapping some stuff up. Like I said, the biggest disappointment for me would be Riva, but then again, I don't think that's the last time we're going to see her. The rest of the characters, speaking from a guy who, like I said, watched some of the stuff, watched Rebels, watched some of it, but there are other people that are hardcore fans. But the people I generalize on a daily basis, like the people that come into the store and are picking up figures and picking up toys, most of these guys haven't seen these things. So my conversation doesn't go beyond that. Now, more and more that the people that are coming to the store that are watching this, they're asking me who these people are. They don't know what an inquisitor is. They didn't,
yeah.
they don't know what any of this is. And I think if you're a fan of this era, you're going to get a lot more eyes on it now. Maybe you'll have somebody do some research on some of these characters because, like I said, not a lot of people watch Clone Wars. Not a lot of people watch Rebels in comparison to the general audience that is a Star Wars fan. Not everybody's hardcore. So maybe they'll pick up some of this stuff, and you'll grow your universe. I hope it grows forward. But like I said, doesn't hurt me that you get more Star Wars fans how you get it, especially how divisive the last 3 movies were for whatever reasons they were. I didn't think the Rise of Skywalker didn't crap in my bed or anything. It didn't hurt me. I thought there were things about it that were cool. I liked the Lando scene where, I thought it was cheesy,
Sure.
but there are things about it. But like I said, with Obi-Wan, judging it on what it was, production value, I didn't have a problem with the production value as a lot of people did. I thought the production value was fine for for it being that budget of a TV show. Ewan McGregor shines. Like I said, there are other actors in this series that don't. I'm sorry, they just don't. But he does. When he's on the screen, he carries it. I thought Darth Vader for the time he was on the screen, made me believe that's how that guy would have been in that time of his life. I think Ewan McGregor doubles on that. As far as everyone else, I mean, they did okay. There was a lot of okay performances in there, but once again, it's Obi-Wan. The focus was on him, so a bunch of mediocre performances doesn't put a hole in the ship for me. I thought it could have been better, but like I said, Ewan McGregor should get nominated for an Emmy for that performance, and I'm not, just being hyperbolic.
Yeah.
He
it
should
depends if Disney wants to promote him for it.
Yeah.
And I don't see why they should, because he carries it. He makes you believe that he's there at that time, that he's going through PTSD. If you've ever known anybody that goes through PTSD during a war, that's how it goes. That guilt of being alive, that guilt of the, and then the killing that you've done and the killing that's happened. So he portrayed that fine. Not a perfect show by any means, but a very good show. The last episode did what it needed to do, as far as I was concerned, with the exception of Riva. I really clung on to her because I thought there was a story there to tell, and I guess I'll have to wait if I'm into that. Speaking of Lost Stars, not that I'm a fan of anything else in this era reaching the most screen. If they ever do anything live action in this era again that I would watch attentively, would be that really needs to be a live action.
A Riva show?
No, Lost Stars.
Oh,
Lost Stars was so good. I tell you what, have you read Lost Stars?
Yes. Yeah.
What I love is how it covers the entire original trilogy, but from a completely different set of eyes.
Different points of view. Two points of eyes. Yeah.
I mean, because it was like that's not what I thought that book was going to be. I thought that everybody thought that book was just a throwaway book. It was just going to be like this romantic thing in Star Wars, and it was like this really great story of those two people, man.
I want to say that was like marketed as a YA story.
Yeah,
it was.
But it was really. But the thing is like I think where that book nailed it, and it's where I'd like to see Star Wars stories go when we're talking about beyond Skywalker.
Yeah,
is and as we've kind of coming out of this conversation, the aspect of from a certain point of view, that term, right, that Obi-Wan gives us in the original trilogy is foundational to how you interpret Star Wars stories.
Yeah.
And I think people who aren't used to being told a story that way, because it's very subtle, right? In fact, one of the only pieces of Star Wars that doesn't do this subtly is Last Jedi. Last Jedi actually actually shows you the different point of views, like as like a literal scene.
Yes,
right?
You're right. Yes.
And I think a lot of people didn't pick up on that. If anything, like, Rian Johnson just isn't nuanced. Like he just kind of says it how he, he just says it. And
yeah, this is what I want to say. Yeah.
But all the rest of Star Wars should be taken. So when you're even like when you get into some aspects of like what you would call a plot hole or something, it is about Star Wars is about shifting to a point of view to sort of illuminate a theme, a condition, something that is driving the story forward. I think it falls into a lot of MacGuffins because of that when it doesn't get handled right. But I think in this case, especially in Kenobi, they did a great job. And yeah, like I think that's why people loved Lost Stars was because it is personifying that whole idea of from a certain point of view. This same situation from two different angles, and like I said, that's paramount to Star Wars. You know.
And when Lost Stars came out, we did a symposium with a couple people that got together, and we put the parallels of it to, believe it or not, the Civil War. And the discussion we had was like, everybody thought that everybody that fought for the South was Jefferson Davis. And when it broke down to, it was a lot of these guys were broke and poor. They didn't own land. They didn't own slaves. They didn't own anything. They were broke and poor, and the Confederacy gave them a chance to be part of something and make some money and make regular things. They didn't own their farm. They didn't own anything. And the camaraderie that they got, you know, they were fighting because the Union was in the South. And then we paralleled it to the Empire, where a lot of these guys in a lot of these places that are not Alderaan were living in squalor, were living in places that they just wanted to be taken out of, and they saw the Empire as an opportunity to be something and be with somebody and be part of something large. And that's what a lot of, when we use the Civil War at the time, but if you look at war all around the world, it's people don't jump in. It's not like G.I. Joe. I mean, it's a volunteer force, but when you look at other places around the world, you see this big shiny, armor, these medals and come in. Somebody says, "Come be part of me," and you look around what you have. You don't have anything. You're going to jump on the horse. And that's what happened with the Confederacy. A lot of those guys were conscripted, but a lot of those guys didn't know where their next, pay was coming from. They were traveling throughout the South trying to find work, and you couldn't find a lot of work in the South. A lot of it because they had free labor. So there wasn't anything going on. And they joined this army. And then at the beginning, now the luster started going off once they started to lose and get crushed. And then they started realizing as less and less soldiers are around, the truth at the top starts to come down to you a lot quicker. And that's what, to me, the Empire is, because I figured if you told this story as the Empire is facing defeat, leaders act differently when they're about to lose. Obviously you saw in World War II, you saw the Nazis behaved at the beginning in 1933 and see how they behaved in 1945. Once you start to lose, that truth comes out. And I think that would be the same thing in the Star Wars universe. So the Lost Stars really should be a live show.
Oh, it should. Can I just say, if you're tuning in, if you're watching the replay of this video, can I just tell you all how much I really love this community, and I love our panelists. I love what we have here, because I feel like,
I even love old ass William.
I know, we tease each other, we have fun, and I think sometimes people miss the entertainment value of what we do sometimes. Somebody, Peter Rabbit's Defender, posted my rant last night about Craven, getting all crazy, on Twitter and stuff, and it's oh, it's been a while since Enosh had a good rant, where he just went off, and stuff like that. But that's part of the entertainment value of the show. But what I love is the deepness there of what William just shared, right? Mm-hmm. I watch other people, they will just get the surface level of something, if that, and they just dismiss it, right? Everything is just, and we even talked about it tonight, everything's just bad writing, everything is just, it doesn't, hit for them, whatever. And then you just listen there to William, and I'm sorry, man, if you just listen to William and you don't feel something about that, and that doesn't open up something in your mind or your heart, and you're like, wow, man, that's deep.
Oh, it does.
That somebody is getting something that wonderful out of Star Wars, out of these stories, out of these characters, then I just don't know what to tell you. I guess, it's either just not for you, or you just have a completely different perception of what it is. And maybe you just and I get this, especially being a DC fan, right? In the last few years, there's some people who just want that surface level. They want this childlike, essence of their entertainment, right? Because they're kind of just right back there where they were, and they don't want that to be really nuanced. But when you listen to William explaining his take on the Empire and relating it like that, man, that's deep. That's some heavy stuff, man. And it may just be because I only got 3 hours sleep, but man, that right there, William, was man, that was.
Well, it's like Enoch. It's like I've said before about realizing that Vader. This whole show has been Anakin and not Vader. it really is going deeper with what you're seeing in things. And I've noticed as I've gotten older, I've done that.
I think Lucas designed this show to be a little bit, or designed this concept to be a lot deeper. But him writing it deeper doesn't mean everybody is going to accept it as that. I mean, when people lined up in 1977 to see Star Wars, they weren't thinking of a Kurosawa. They weren't thinking of the Magnificent Seven. They weren't thinking of World War II reference. They weren't thinking of stormtroopers and that face of death. That is, obviously it's not an accident that the face of death is Darth Vader, and the stormtroopers literally look like skulls running at you. But if you look at his design and the art of Star Wars, I know you have like every copy of it. There's no way you don't have it, Enos. But the art of Star Wars, if you look at some of the helmets and some of the devices that he's taken from World War II, it's stunning to see it. But like I said, you have to stick with some of these things for a long time to be able to turn back and look at it. Star Wars is the same way. If you grew up in the Cold War, Star Trek, Star Trek is a lot different for you than if you were watching Star Trek now and just looking back on the Cold War, living in the Cold War when Russians were evil. I mean, I know we're going through now, but the type of evil that we approached anybody that was an American in the 80s or in the 70s and the 80s was visceral, and with Star Trek was overlaid over that, and then not just them, and we still had race relation issues going on. And Gene Roddenberry having the first, interracial kiss on TV.
Well, dude, I was just thinking about that yesterday, right? Because my Roku, I've got it set for the Star Trek save screen. It's got a Star Trek save screen thing. It's like the one.
I got Space Dock.
Yeah, it's like the one cool thing that like it's got that's not like nature or something like that. So I put on Star Trek or whatever, and it was funny because like I hadn't really even thought about it that much. But like the when the thing came up, like it was showing, the 7 main characters of Star Trek, the original series, right? And people talk about how woke Star Trek is now. Yet when you look at original Star Trek, man, you got a white captain, sure, but you got an Asian helmsman who is set for leadership, right? Is on that track for, being a captain later on. You got Chekhov, who is a Russian, right, during the time of the Cold War. You got a black woman, who's your communications officer, who's brilliant, and like you said, then you end up seeing the first interracial kiss on TV, right? You've got a Scotsman, you've got
World War II vet, by the way, who almost died on D-Day.
Right,
he almost didn't get
missing a finger.
Oh yeah. His actual story is amazing, but you got a Scotsman. You've got these different characters, man. And then you got an alien, right? Who's half Vulcan, half human, right? So you got like a biracial person there. Like, I mean, my gosh, man. But like people are like, oh, it's so woke now. It's like, dude, if you didn't see that about Star Trek, like not that it's woke, it's just that it understands what's going on, and it's trying to show that we can be better. That look at this future where it doesn't matter what race you are, and even back then when we had come out of a war with Asians, right?
We got a new woo coming out there.
Yeah, I know we do. But we had come out of a war with Asians, right? With Japan, just a couple decades before, right? And then now. Yeah, and then it was like we were in the Cold War. We were starting this Cold War with Russia, and yet like we show people from those things. So hey, it's woo time. Austin is here. Austin is the newest. He took over Brodan. Brodan became the newest on our last stream. And so now we got Austin here, who is the newest member of the Poindexter Lounge. Thank you so much, Austin, for becoming a member. And when you become a member, oh, you know what that means. Heck yeah. We give you the woo, if I can find it.
Now it's hiding.
Here it is. Enoch has lost his woo.
Hey, I found my woo. Austin, we're so glad. Welcome to membership, bro.
Showtime! Woo! 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 Silent! Woo! and profiling. It's live and in color.
I can't wait till my belt gets here. This week reminded me of my belt coming.
Yeah. You got to wear it over your shoulder. Just come on in.
Yeah, I saw a meme earlier.
Thank you, Austin. Hold that thought, Thade. Austin says you're subbing because of the actual honest and civil discussions. You all do a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Austin.
Thank you, Austin.
We don't get paid to actually be a bunch of jerks, so when we get paid to actually start spewing garbage, we'll start spewing garbage.
Nah, I'll get out. I'll get out.
No, I saw a meme on Twitter earlier that was talking about how everybody complaining about New Trek being so woke, and then it showed something from DS9 where Jadzia is kissing another Trill, and it's two women kissing, and they're like, pointing at that, you know.
Well, there's so much that like people missed along the way. You know what I mean? Because they just saw things on the surface, and I don't know what to tell people who are just upset. Life is too short to just be upset about the entertainment that you like or whatever, you know. I mean, just I don't know. I've given up on being upset about things. Why be upset? Like I don't think I was ever really. I mean, I was never that way. Like I never bought into that. You know, this new anger and fandom. Like I've just never done that. You know, there's always going to be things that you're frustrated about. There's always going to be things that you go, I don't know if that works. But you know, you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, here's the thing, though. Like
you got Tootie and and everybody. You know,
I've come to learn. You know, if you're not, whatever fandom you're a part of ceases to become fun for you, you walk away from it. You put it on the shelf, you walk away, and you don't expect it to be everything you want it to be. You just can't. I mean, that's like taking expectations of a different person than yourself, you know?
And again, there are new things to watch every you guys don't have to be linchpinned into nerd shit. Open your goddamn horizons. You want to know what I just started watching? Tyrant. Do you think I'd ever watch a goddamn show like Tyrant in the last 4 or 5 years? You're wrong. I wouldn't have. But I've given up on so much crap. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start watching other shows. And guess what? I'm enjoying myself. Open your damn eyes.
Stop hate watching. Stop hate watching.
Stop that. That's childish.
If you are hate watching, if you are taking time out of your day to watch something just so you can tear it up, somebody accused me of hate watching Obi-Wan. I'm like, no, I don't hate watch. I don't have the time to hate watch. It took me forever to catch up to Stranger Things. If I'm watching something, I'm giving it a shot. Or else I would have hate watched Peacemaker. No, I watched Peacemaker.
I love Vince. William giving his firsthand knowledge of the Civil War.
He's like, I hate all of you so much right now.
If there's one thing I can give you firsthand knowledge on, it's war. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But hate watching is like, dude, how much time do you have in a day to where you can be using that hour on something else?
It's a waste.
Well, I think people have gotten into a real culture of like looking for the horribleness in everything around them because life is so, harsh right now. And I think that if you're watching something just to be miserable and hate it, then you're losing the point. Like you're losing the point of entertainment just in general.
And there is such a thing as bad shows, but it's just how you handle that. It's okay to criticize shows, but it's what I don't get is like for instance, and William knows, I have mixed feelings about the last season of Picard. I didn't like how a lot of it went, but at the same rate, I don't go into somebody's channel that's talking about Star Trek and Picard and just start bombing their chat with oh my god, this sucks and this character sucks. I mean, it does for me, but it's I watched it, I had my take on it, and it's and that's it. There
were some couple of things about Picard. Like I said, Wesley Crusher, to me, in 2 minutes, saved half of that show.
Which is ironic for me. Yeah.
Which is, I thought was hilarious. Yeah. But I thought, like I said, Picard was a tough watch. A lot of it is because these people are older. They have not acted in a lot lately. And they have, like I said, Jean-Luc Picard at 82 years old, it happens. But he but that's why it's only 3 seasons. I think if you're talking about 7 seasons, I don't think they'd make it. So, but like I said, there's the one thing I hate about Trek fandom, and this is why Orville drives me crazy, is not because of what the Orville is because the other day I'm in a group, right? I'm in a Star Trek group. We're talking Star Trek, and that's always that person that I have to give it to admin. Guy comes in, Orville's more Star Trek than Star Trek. Listen, dude, if you like Orville, that's great. There's a whole bunch of Orville chat rooms that are full.
Yeah.
Don't be using
yeah,
Orville
dude.
as a
I love.
I hate that shit.
Yeah, look, I love Orville. I love the Orville, right? But like, it, I mean, so I get the comparison, absolutely, right? But at the same time, I don't think that you should attack Star Trek for not being the Orville, right? The Orville to me is a love letter from Seth because Seth MacFarlane loves Star Trek, right?
That's the Star Trek fanboy.
Yeah, Seth MacFarlane loves Star Trek Next Generation.
G.I. Joe next, by the way.
And I'm always surprised. I've said this over and over again. I am shocked that Seth MacFarlane never got a cease and desist letter from Paramount saying, no, you got to stop. Careful. Because I swear to God, man, the Orville, I mean, you got Tiffany and I were just watching it the other day, and I mean, I love the show. I've loved the show ever since the beginning. We used to do watch parties when it first came out, and I've missed the show fiercely. But the thing is, like, you got a starship, you got a quantum drive that's very much like warp, you got away teams, you've got color-coded, uniforms. You've got them basically in a federation type thing where they're going out and meeting the stuff. You got even you've got a substitution for the Klingons. At that point in time, it's the only thing that they don't have is beaming. I mean, it's amazing to me, but I just love the show. But like you said, I'm not going to go into a Star Trek thing. And unless we're having a conversation about certain points and it makes sense, but in context. But I wouldn't go and like. That's what I don't understand. Scotty brought up a good point, like of people, because every once in a while we get that here where people will just come in and just try to like bomb a chat.
Every stream has it. Everybody has it, big and small.
But that's the thing is like people they come in and they just bomb a chat because like somebody else is enjoying something.
And they can't have that.
Yeah, and they just can't have that. Peter Rabbit's Defender here with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says Obi-Wan redeeming all the things I hate in the prequel trilogy. True swan song for Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan, best Hayden Christensen performance ever. It didn't break the canon. Qui-Gon's cameo earned, and Deb Chow deserves more Star Wars after this.
I wanted that to be longer. I wanted that to just be a little, not too long, but they built up to that moment, and I wanted that to be a little bit longer.
A little bit more.
Qui-Gon?
Yeah,
100%.
I was just I said, I didn't need 10 minutes. I just give me another minute. Give me anher minute, and just leave it hanging there. I mean, but I thought it was cool to see him. I figure if I was watching,
it's still cool to see that like he was leading him on. Come on, we got stuff to do, right? Like we got, you finally got here. Now we got the 9 years leading up to when you're going to actually do something with,
And the one thing about this is like I said, when the old, the Knights of the Old Republic stuff and the Fate on that era stuff was canon or was as close to canon as that is something that happened to a Jedi Master no matter what. If you read Dark Lords of the Sith, it's a lost discipline. And I like the way they do portray it as a lost discipline of becoming one with the Force when a Jedi Master dies. Because it happened all the time during the Sith War. They would disappear and they would become one with the Force. And in the Sith case, like Freedon Nad's case, they will become with the dark side of the Force, and they will be able to do a lot of powerful things that way. But it's a lost discipline. That was always a cool thing about the prequels, is that they mentioned the lost discipline that we all saw. Because Star Wars never really explains it, but they did do that. So that was that kind of feeling stuff I'm okay with. Because it allows people to say, hey, well, where does this come from? If there's one question people get from Obi-Wan and the prequel series is that why do Jedi Masters do that? What is the discipline? And maybe that'll lead people to go read some of the stuff that I force into people's hands when they come in, mention they want more Star Wars. I start handing them trade paperbacks of the Timothy Vetch album, all that stuff. and they leave with a stack of stuff that gets them going in that direction.
What is it you hand them?
Dark Lords of the Sith,
Oh, cool.
Knights of the Old Republic, Freed on That Uprising, Sith War, and Jedi Redemption.
Yeah, that's
I love it. William,
I wanted to bring up Redemption to you. Does that not like parallel Last Jedi just a little bit with Rey and Luke?
Yeah, but not as Redemption does it better, because what Redemption does, what Eula Kodama, is they build him up and they don't let you know that that's the direction that they're taking him. Now, Eula Kodama, you were rooting for him and Clay. You're rooting for both of them. You see, and what they do in that series is before you only saw, Darth Vader turned, and that's it. That's what we were told for most of our lives. And then when you see the Dark Lords of the Sith, you see how it happens.
Yeah.
You see how it happens and how easy a guy who's fighting for the right can end up being one of the most powers of destruction, along with Exar Khan. So when he gets redeemed, and I love that scene where he dies.
Yeah.
Spoiler, it's been out since the 90s. But when he dies, because remember, he can't see the Force anymore. Naomi Sunrider blinds him from the Force. And so he doesn't think he can't see the Force, but yet he trains her daughter. And when he dies, he becomes one with the Force, because the way they're telling you, the Force decides who lets you in. It's not, the Force decides whether you're one with, and whether you.
Which they changed later on.
Yeah, they retconned, but yeah, that's.
I did like the old way better. I will say this. This is what I'll say. Legends, even though the old canon, the Legends sort of omnibus is a mess. If you're being fair and honest, I did like the mystique of the Force through Legends books more than I do with canon books. The way that canon books handle it, and that's all the way from High Republic to, I've read literally. I mean, I read books as they come out. I mean, there's some young adult novels I don't read. Most of the young adult novels I don't read. But it's the view of the Force is very trite, very one note, very surface level, to be quite honest with you. But in Legends, like, there's a lot of cool stuff, like what William's talking about, that really sort of like gave this mystique that I honestly think has been lost. And I would love to see like a Legacy of the Force kind of movie set into the future. I'd like them to get away from the dyad sort of thing completely. And
get that holocron, get those holocrons going.
I would watch an Indiana Jones style Star Wars movie hunting holocrons. I would be there for that.
Holocrons are the
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And you
they've only mentioned holocrons like briefly in canon Star Wars. They mentioned them briefly, but like they need to do more with them.
They were supposed to be in episode 2, but they got cut out.
They did actually make a holocron the literal focus of Fallen Order, which was very key. Yeah, so they have plans for it, but that's what I hope. But
if you buy the Art of Star Wars episode 2, it's in there. Oh, good.
Real quick with Austin's comment, he says, "Forgot about Orville. That's a satire, the parody Star Trek." Right. I didn't hear some of the last minute of the discussion. So the Orville, yeah, I mean, like, it started off, everybody thought it was basically going to be Family Guy in space, right? That's what everybody assumed that it was. And you know what? It had some funny jokes in there at the beginning, but then it took a turn and it was like, hey, we are taking this very seriously, and it went from being that it's going to be that Star Trek parody thing to all of a sudden it's like, no, this is a thing with its own lore. This is a thing with its own seriousness. But yeah, there's some funny jokes here and there, and they're. But you know what? What I love about it, it doesn't take me out of it. It doesn't make me feel like that they're like cutting out of like what it actually is. I just really enjoyed the Orville for that reason. But yeah, that's what it is. It's now on Hulu. It's streaming on Hulu. Season 3 is streaming on Hulu.
You want to talk about a jump in production value? I want it.
But so I'll give you that. But I will say this, man: the end of season 2, because you know what he did, right? Like,
you can't don't spoil anything.
No, I won't. But season 2, if you watch season 2, man, they put a ton of money. That was the best thing. Yeah. I remember watching that live. On our live streams, and everybody was talking about it. Like, as we were doing our live streams, just going, "Oh my god! Like, this is the best, like CGI stuff I've ever seen on a TV show." But it's because he took a lot of money that he had for Family Guy, and he invested it in the Orville. Is what happened.
I'm so glad
that was the story at the time. He had all this money, but he invested it in the Orville and basically cut some costs and corners on Family Guy. And he also, I think, took a pay cut or something like that because the Orville was like his pet project that he wanted to get out there. And man, the season 2 is amazing, and I love how the repercussions of season 2 of the Orville have been felt sorely in season 3 so far. You know, I mean, with some of the things that happen and the people that the villains that were there, and yeah, I can't say anything because if you watch it, it's it's a surprise. Backwards. It's a twist. But my gosh, the people, the things involved in season 3 now are like having to answer for the sins of season 2. It's man, and I'll be honest with you, the last episode was downright scary. They go to a part of space where, like, this isn't really spoiler, but they go to a part of space where there's no stars. And it's like, whoa, it's just dark, man.
I remember the episode of Voyager that inspired that too.
Blackness,
exactly. Man. Voyager's my favorite Star Trek.
Can I want random videos? Oh. Can you highlight random videos right above that one real quick? If you want to. I can, anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Respectfully, I disagree with this. Right now, more than ever, I think Paramount understands Star Trek as best they have in the last 20 years. Star Wars, Star Trek, listen, I've been around. I would say I wasn't around for the rest of the, but I grew up with everything else. It's always been dark and edgy if you're paying attention. Strange New Worlds is probably some of the best Star Trek that's been put out, period. It's dark and edgy. Star Trek The Next Generation didn't get good until it became dark and edgy. Best of Both Worlds was a turning point for that series. DS9 is a war show for 4 of its 7 years. And Voyager was probably the lighter one, but you were stuck, out in the middle of nowhere, and there was a lot of character development. But it's always been dark and edgy, but there's always been balance there. But I think there's a balance that this current Paramount crew has that is perfect. And here's the thing, though. Whenever you watch a Star Trek show, and that's the show you grew up with, understand that there's a new Star Trek fan coming in the door. That Next Generation is like coloring books to them. They will learn to appreciate it in time. But Paramount has to make Star Trek, it is a business. They have to make Star Trek appealing to brand new people coming in, or those people will never get to watch The Next Generation or get to watch DS9. So I think Paramount at this moment is doing a knockout, stellar job for me.
They're doing good. They're doing way better than they were at the beginning of Discovery.
Picard is the first season of Discovery was bad because they fired the showrunner. But the second season gave me Pike. Season is awesome.
It came back
so nothing's perfect, but dude, I love Star Trek right now. I'm a Star Trek fan.
I'm loving Strange New World, definitely.
Yeah.
It's good.
Now this next episode, because I saw the preview for it, might be my first one that I would like, because it looks
we'll
like
see. I know exactly what you're talking about. We'll talk. Hey, I wanted to address a comment there by Pam Wolf. Actually, there's a lot of cool Force stuff. That one.
Yeah.
So Pam, you're not wrong for sure, but let me try to rephrase so I can articulate better what I mean. There's a lot of in the new stuff in Rebels that you're pointing out, and in the 2 certain point of view books, which I really hope they do Return of the Jedi certain point of view.
Me too.
Book. They've done the 2 which were phenomenal, and I
still need to get Empire.
I want to say that I saw a listing on Amazon, but it's not going to be released until next year, but I might be wrong. But anyway, the difference here is that there's a lot of situations where characters are in the new canon that you're describing here. It's Force stuff, as in there's characters interacting with the Force, right? If you talk about specifically with Kanan and Ezra, going to temples, Jedi Guardians, they're interacting with the Force, and sure, there's you get to understand, but it's always their relationship to the Force. The thing that's front and center is a character's relationship to the Force, and that's what's sort of expanded about in new canon. The difference is that in the Legacy, the sort of perspective they took is it's not as much about someone's relationship to the Force. It's about describing the nature of the Force itself, not how, for instance, a Jedi relates to it or a dark Jedi relates to it, because they didn't use the term Sith back in the early Legends. It's about really describing the thing itself. I guess the way that I would like to say this is if you're going to talk about a black hole, You could talk about a black hole in relationship to like, oh, well, if I approached it, right, from my point of view, what happens to me if I approach a black hole, versus the perspective from the black hole, right, and talking about the nature of what it is itself. And it was just a little more eerie, mysterious, like a little bit more like, you know, and I just preferred that sort of like the avenues of storytelling that allowed. And I think in the new canon, it tries to anchor itself way too much to human stuff, to you know, and
not mythology that there could be.
Exactly, yeah.
Like
exactly.
everybody right now, Freedon Nad. This is everybody who's watching right now or watching. Just Google Freedon Nad.
He's not talking about when he takes his underwear off at night.
Okay, all right, stop.
Okay, so I'm
That
going
would
to
be
repeat
freedom,
what I don't
but
want them to
anyway.
be distracted by Knucklehead Enosh. But no, look up these names. Look up these names if you haven't heard of them. Freedon Nad, XR Kun, that's EXAR.
XR Kun, yes.
And you'll look Qualjama, which is UIL, just how it sells with a Q, with no U, EL, Drama. Look up these characters, and if you get a chance to go on Amazon or if they are on digital, read some of this stuff. They're in comic book forms. If you're a comic book fan, they're all in comic book forms. And you'll learn a little bit more about the Sith, because the Sith were alchemists. They were a race that Dark Jedi broke off and interbred with them, and that's a lot how there's Sith alchemy. There's holocrons. There's all kinds of lore. The Empress Tita system. There's so much out there that they may or may not ever make movies or live action, but it's still out there and it's still fun, and it gives you a different perspective of Star Wars.
Oh, sure.
That you might just not have had, and if you get that, it's cool. You're not going to hate the current stuff that you're in, but I didn't hate Star Wars by reading more Star Wars, especially from that era. So I think you guys will have a lot of fun with that. One of these days, I'm going to do a stream on some of that stuff, because I think it is really cool. But I think a lot of people just don't, because like I said, a lot of people don't even watch anything outside the movies. Most people who watch Star Trek or Star Wars, are not watching outside of what they see in the cinema. They're not.
They've never read any of the lore. They you know, I mean, and that's part of the problem, where people start saying, well, this person would never do this, or this person would never act like this, and you're like, dude, that's literally part of their character, man. That's like who they are. But again, you know, people haven't read some of the other stuff, so they don't know that, like, this is actually how these characters interact, or how these characters work, or, you know, whatever. And it just, you know, it just kind of is what it is, you know, when people don't want to study that stuff and know that stuff, you know. But you can't say that, like, this person won't do this. It's like anytime I see somebody go, well, Superman wouldn't do this. It's like, well, Superman's been doing that in the comics for 30 years.
Then who's writing them?
Yeah, you know, or Batman wouldn't do this or that. It's like, well, Batman's been doing that in the comics.
Bro.
Get a hold of some Frank Miller stuff, and you'll see.
Yeah, you'll see what Batman will do.
Oh, but that's Elseworlds. It doesn't matter. Like, those are still stories.
They're still happening.
They're still stories like that. Like, that's where stuff was drawn from, you know. And
what do you consider Elseworlds anyway? Like, what you deem is not like good to you is now Elseworlds. Piss off, man.
Well, like, Year One is not Elseworlds. Year One is straight up canon.
Yeah, it is straight freaking canon.
Okay, so on Discovery, yeah, when you say Discovery,
Year One Batman, where'd he go? Did you see this Year One Batman that I got for $3? This is like the coolest thing. It's I just got this the other day, and I just thought it was super cool. So, you know, it's
that's,
you know,
literally Detective Comics 27 Batman.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Like,
that's nice,
and it's cool because he's got the wires in his cape and everything. So
where's his gun?
Nice.
Where's his gun?
I got to get a gun for him. I know I got to get the gun for him. Like, the people will freak out. Oh my God, Batman's got a gun! But
yeah, Batman had a gun back then. Yeah.
but it is like, I got to get the gun. So you can see he's got the kung fu grip though. So like his hands actually move. Look at that. Like, his hands actually.
Articulation.
All right, now put it back in a box. No, I'm just kidding.
It was never in a box. I got
this.
This.
You got it secondhand?
Yeah,
Wow.
I got this for $3.
Where at?
At my toy guy.
Oh, okay. So you got some middleman there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at, here's one thing. As we start diving into Star Trek, you're gonna find out how Star Trek really is. Remember how we got the Federation? We World War III, and then you had the Romulan War. So when you look at a franchise like this, it's okay that they've shown you the lighter side of things, but at just like art history. I mean, we had the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, and all we're doing is disco dancing and new wave and watching Back to the Future. But from someone else's perspective, we're fighting, in wars. We're fighting in Vietnam. We're in all these hotspots all around the world. So depending on what perspective you look at a franchise, we're always, the United States has always been in some type of war or backing some type of war. But that's not portrayed in every movie or TV show. So the Federation and Star Trek is a big, vast thing. You're going to see some darkness in there because mankind has exhibited darkness throughout its entire time on this planet. So just because all we've seen in some cases is a lighter-hearted Star Trek doesn't mean that there is not a story to be told of the obvious darker elements of Star Trek that are out there. And I thought Discovery did that perfectly. And even Discovery's gotten a little bit lighter tone. I mean, not too much. I don't want to ruin it, but it's not what it was in season 1.
Another point on this that I don't think it's talked about enough is how different TV was back then when those series were out. I mean, all the way up through Enterprise. I mean, people's perspective on TV, what they expected from TV, the concept of, we didn't necessarily always have time to watch all the episodes every week in a row. Like there were some shows I definitely tried to, but it was definitely, I mean, I didn't live in a house with DVR or anything like this. And I've been watching TV since before that was even a thing. So, it was harder to watch things. I'm sorry.
Oh no. I mean, I lived in the era before VCRs and stuff. So if you missed it first run, you had to wait till the reruns, way later.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
So TV shows couldn't get away with cliffhangers and that kind of stuff. So they were lighthearted and more self-contained by design, because of the times,
Also, too, what changed when Next Generation, when the stories that were told from TOS all the way to Voyager, Next Generation, Enterprise aired 17 days after September 11th attacks. 17 days. The type of storytelling from that point on reflected the environment that we were in up until now. You couldn't tell the type of stuff you were doing in the mid-90s and the mid-80s with stuff going on because we didn't have the kind of environment, the death and destruction on that scale in our faces and around it. If you were going to tell a story going forward, you couldn't make fun of the audience by kind of ignoring where these stories were coming from. Each era of Star Trek came from the era of story. Cold War in the 60s, that's what you got. In the 80s, that's what you got. But post 2001, where the majority of Star Trek is now, you're telling war stories because we're in wars. War stories are going to be more relatable to an audience because we were into wars for 20 years. So if it's darker, take a look around you. And I know people go to Star Trek to get away, but at the same time, some of us go because it's a direct reflection of what we're going through at the time. And we appreciate that art imitating that life.
Yeah. Well, hey, this has been a great discussion. I think there's some people in the chat who's going to call it a night. I know I got to go to bed at 6 a.m. for me. But hey, I think overall, man, I'm happy. I give the Kenobi series my thumbs up, man.
I give it a good I'm
happy. I'm very, very happy with what I've seen here, and somebody asked about Andor. You know what? I'm not looking forward to Andor for Cassian Andor, the character.
I'm looking forward to the underbelly.
I'm looking forward to the other stuff. Like when I see Mon Mothma there, and I see like the formation of the Rebel Alliance and all that stuff. That's what I'm looking for. Like Cassian Andor as a character doesn't really do anything for me. Hopefully, maybe they do something with the character during this series that like makes me, that endears me to the character. I've never really been a fan of Cassian Andor, but I'm definitely looking forward to that series now, though, for that reason, because that trailer alone for Cassian Andor, that's
I'm looking for sure. Like there's some stuff to Darth Maul too. You don't know why. So.
Yeah, see, I loved Rogue One, so I'm looking forward to that series because it's supposed to give some backstory to that. But I'm cool with it either way,
Andor's going to be a tough watch for me, simply because the most significant thing that particular character did was sacrifice himself for his moment was that, And I don't know if you can match that. I mean, when somebody does that, wow, it's going to be hard to match that. But like I said, just as Obi-Wan, I'll go into it episode by episode.
Well, in fairness, what they did say, he was a smuggler before that, so you're not going to see a good guy character. You're going to see a very...
Yeah, but I know what he evolves into in short order.
I get it.
That's the only thing. And like I said, once again, that's not going to stop me from watching it. It's just going to be a lot tougher for me to get on that roller coaster, knowing that, like I said, there is no bigger sacrifice than what he did. And I love Rogue One. Rogue One to me is number 2 as far as Star Wars movies. Empire's number 1. Rogue One is number 2.
Well, hey guys, make sure that if you haven't already, like and subscribe this video. Follow us on social media. We got a lot of cool stuff on social media. If you're on TikTok, follow us on TikTok because we're trying to get to 1,000 followers on TikTok so that we can go live on TikTok. And so we can have some of these conversations on TikTok and bring some levity to the TikTok universe. But hey, thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you to everyone on the panel. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to our newest member, Austin. You're awesome. Appreciate you. Woo-hoo! And we still celebrate Brodan from the last one, the pre-show. Thank you so much, bro.
Yay.
And it's good to be with you all, and it's good to have these conversations. And I look forward to what the future holds for us, for Star Wars, for fandom in general. And I'll just go out by saying, like I always say, don't let anybody tell you that your fandom doesn't matter.
Unless you're a fan of Snake Eyes.
Unless you're a fan of Snake Eyes, then I'm sorry, it's complete garbage. But
or Birdman. Or Birdman.
Yep. Hey.
You want to hurt me? Go right ahead if it makes you feel any better. I'm an easy target. Yeah, you're right. I talk too much. I also listen too much.
So, hey, but don't tell anybody that their fandom doesn't matter either. But seek to have really good conversations and to hear each other out and, like to get under the surface and to see, like what it is that you're really saying and what they're really saying, okay? And if you treat everybody with respect,
no matter how old they are, even if you're William. And if you do that,
you're an ass.
I'm getting help.
And from those of us, and from those,
every word of what you just said was wrong.
And for those of us that were in God's nursery school class, we thank you.
What?
I don't even know. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
You guys talking about the age thing. I'm William's age. You guys keep picking on William. I'm the same age.
Hey, Thade, go take a shower with Kathleen Kennedy. All right. Anyways, and if you do that, if you treat everybody with respect, like I treat everybody with respect,
except for William,
there'll always be a place for you in the Poindexter Lounge. Until next time, stay nerdy, my friends, and we'll see you later.